Hi again. In the previous video, we saw how to draw an icon of a light bulb representing an idea or a notion. In this video, I will show you how to use real-world objects in order to get inspiration for icons and draw them with real-world proportions. I chose a fly for this demonstration for two reasons. One, it can represent the idea of distractions, and second, it's pretty complex to draw straight out of memory. What we can do, though, is go to, for example, Bing, look for an image of a fly. I will copy it, go back to PowerPoint, and paste it here. To draw the icon itself, I'll start with a shape, any shape that I will manipulate. Right now I'm choosing a rectangle simply because it's convenient for me to work on it. To make it easier to work, I'll change the shape fill by hitting more fill colors, choose something bright, and change the transparency to 50% in a way that I can see right through the shape that I'm manipulating. I'll also remove the outline by choosing no outline. I'll now zoom in so I can have higher accuracy, changing the shape. Right click, choose edit points, and now you can see that I have, instead of the white, I have the black nodes here on the corners, which means that every time I can actually hover on one, left click and drag it to a new position. And you can see that the point moved. Not only that, I have these knobs that change the angles of the line that comes to this point. So it's pretty easy for me to make of it anything I'd like it to be. To create additional nodes, you can either right-click and say Add Point, like so, and here we are. Or another thing you can do is simply hover on the border. You can see that the cursor changed, and while it has this form, I left-click, hold it down, and drag it to the new position. And in that manner, I can place as many points as I need. Now to manipulate the existing points, I can right-click a point, change it to attributes. For example, rather than a corner point, I can have a straight point that allows me to use to change one knob and have the other maintain an angle that is easier to work with. For example, you can see that it's smooth here. Let me finish quickly changing all these nodes to make sure we are in good shape here. And play around with these and see what makes most sense, how things look like once you finish working with them. And remember that this doesn't have to be an exact copy of reality, it just has to be an approximation. To create the legs, I'm using sticks or just rectangles, but to make the rectangles easier to work with, I will copy the attributes of the first shape by using the Format Painter right here. So I click it, click the rectangle, and it got exactly the same attributes of the first shape. So I'll go ahead and pretty quickly and roughly create all the rest of the joints of the fly's legs. Notice that right now I don't pay too much attention to the accuracy and the fine level of details. That's because we're going to take care of it in a minute while zooming in. I like to work in a zoom in mode when it comes to making fine adjustments. So here we are, and we're missing only the last part of the fly's leg right here. And now I zoom in furthermore, and I make sure using the arrow keys on the keyboard while pressing Control down to make sure that all these align nicely together and they overlap. Now overlapping is important because when I will union on the shapes together, they will look smooth and cohesive. I'll go back to the first zoom level. I'll highlight all my shapes together, the ones that I drew, and hit Shape Union. Now you can see that I actually worked on only half of the fly because it's going to be very hard for me by free hand drawing to eyeball an exact mirror image for the fly. And that would have been just too weird if the two parts of the fly didn't match. So what I'm doing is I'm copying and pasting this half of the fly. I go to Arrange, Rotate, and Flip Horizontal. I can now bring it exactly to match the mirror image of the left half of the fly. I select both of them together and click Shape Union. And as you can see, now I have one shape of the fly. I don't need the image anymore. I just used it as a rough approximation of reality. And of course, as with any shape, I can go to the Format tab and apply any shape style I'm interested in to make my fly look any way I want. So that was an example of using a real-world object or an image to maintain the proportions while I create an icon. And thank you for joining me. You can find out about more new cool features of PowerPoint 2010 on the PowerPoint team blog. I hope you'll enjoy using this feature as much as I do. And with that, happy presenting!